Hello there, everybody. My name is Pete McPherson. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been creating content on the internet for 16 years. And in the past year and a half, really, I have shipped, as the cool kids like to say, several web apps that have made some great money. And I have seen recently a couple of questions. This is in my friend Sadie's Facebook group, which I'm a part of down here. I've seen a few questions like this. Who here has advice on building an app? What are the best software tools, tech, tutorials? Who should I follow? Where can I learn from? Can I do this? I have a great idea for an app, but yada yada. So I actually compiled a bunch of notes, very, very small notes. These will actually get through in just a couple of minutes. I thought this might be useful. So if you're watching this video, number one, this is for non-developers. I'm assuming that's you. If you are a seasoned developer, you don't need this video. Number two, I, Pete, am not a seasoned developer. You can see in my little mini bio here, I'm not a developer. I don't have official training from college. I've never worked as a software engineer ever. I build my own apps. I'm self-taught. I've been coding for 15 years, on and off, but it's really just been the past year and a half that I've gone really deep. Okay, so let's start from the top. Do you actually need this? What about no code? So here's my spiel on no code. It's a huge movement in the past couple of years. It's really great. It is. You can actually build a surprising amount of apps, software, SaaS products, etc., without touching code. It's really great these days. If you really, really don't want to touch any code ever, by all means, go for it. However, in the future, I don't think these are going to exist just because of AI. AI is already starting to take over, and in 3 years, 5 years, I think these no-code apps, well, they're still going to be no code, but it's really just going to be AI code. You're going to be chatting with AI, and it's just literally going to build everything for you flawlessly, almost, right? We're going to get to that point. We're not there yet, but we probably will. So for me personally, I like to code, and I like to build, and I like control, and AI's around already anyways. So I think AI code is what the rest of this video is going to be about, just straight up. So here's what to expect. And this is like specifically people in Facebook groups who are like, hey, anyone have any advice on building an app? I think I have an idea. I want to do it. Here's what you can expect. The first one is always going to be the hardest and take the longest. And in fact, it's going to take twice as long, at least, than you think it would. They're like, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to budget 3 months from this. It's going to take 6 months, right? Even with AI, even with all this other stuff that will make the process easier, it's still going to take longer than you think. Absolutely. And to piggyback off of this is a complicated sentence, but I found this to be really true. Building your own web app, mobile app, software, SaaS product, whatever, it's way harder than you think it will be until it's easier than you think it will be. Here's what I mean by this. Just like riding a bike. This is a perfect analogy. My daughter struggled with learning how to ride a bike for years, even when she was kind of old enough to be riding a bike. Super difficult for her, right? Took way longer than she thought it would, than I thought it would. Way longer than it took my son just a couple of years prior to that. But once she got used to it, once she figured it out, at the snap of her fingers, she was amazing at it. She crushed it. It was way easier than she thought. This is exactly what coding is. It's going to be way harder than you think. It's going to make your brain hurt until you get it and something clicks. And then it's just going to be, did I do that? Did I create this? Right? Again, jumping ahead, that moment when you actually launch a product, or even if it's not a product, but something that you coded, so satisfying. Unbelievably satisfying. It is harder than you think it will be until something clicks, until you figure something out. And then it's going to be easier than you think. You're going to look back and say like, wait, I did that? This is crazy. I never thought I could do this. Absolutely. Last point here. I'm not jumping around. With 1000% certainty, you're going to have days where you literally can't figure out a thing. You spent 8 hours plus on this one little thing and you didn't get it figured out. Those are absolutely going to happen. Are you up for that? Are you down for that? And I've heard somebody say this. I didn't come up with this, but that's the job of a developer. Someone who codes, someone who builds things. That's actually the job of an entrepreneur as well, to fail until it doesn't fail, right? You will absolutely have these days, just so you know what to expect. So let's switch topics a little bit. Here is coding in a nutshell, like a day to day. You want to build an app, you want to learn a few things, you want to code some things, and you want to ship it and you want to sell it. Here's that process. have a plan for a feature, have a plan for a product, have a plan for what you want to work on, etc. You're going to generate some code. Maybe it's in your head if you've been doing this already. Maybe you Google something. Maybe you found a template. Maybe you're just asking ChatGPT. You're going to get some code. You're going to try it. You're going to try and implement it. You're going to be testing this entire time. It's not going to work. It's just not. You're going to learn how to troubleshoot. You're going to have to learn to look at errors. And quite frankly, you're just going to Google it. Or again, go to AI, Claude or ChatGPT or whatever. And then you're going to repeat these steps 2 or 3 more times, maybe a dozen more times, until it works. And then I should put one more down here. Repeat. That's it, which I just spelled incorrectly. Repeat. That's it. You're going to have a plan. You're going to write some code. It's not going to work. Guaranteed. It's not going to work. You're going to Google something. You're going to ask AI until it works. That's it. And then you're going to do it again and again and again. You cannot skip this step ever, ever, ever. It's not going to work. Like I said up here, it's going to break. It will not work. You will troubleshoot. You have to have that mindset going in, else you're just going to be miserable. Just want to let you know. So now something a little bit more tactical and practical. If you've never coded anything before, I recommend taking a week or at least a couple of days and diving into the following topics, because you can ask AI to generate code for you, and you can ask AI to explain these things to you, but it's not going to build it for you. Where do I code on my computer? For me, I'm using, well, actually, at the moment, I'm using Cursor, which I'm just trying out for a couple of weeks, but it's really VS Code. That's the big one, VS Studio Code. Why is this not working? Visual Studio Code. People say VS. That's actually Visual Studio Code. Yeah, this one's free, and it works everywhere, and that's what most people use, so just do that, period. Download it, figure out how to open it, and use it a little bit. VS Code. Next up, Git. What is Git? What is GitHub? Take a couple of hours, make a lot of notes as you go along, learn what those things are. It's not hard. None of these things are super, super, super hard, but if you just start with AI and building an app, or even no code in a lot of these cases, and you skip over this stuff, you're gonna have headaches later. You gotta figure out, what is the terminal? How do I access it? On a Mac, it's just called terminal, by the way. There it is. How do I get to this folder? That's CD. How do I go back a folder? That's CD. How do I clear what I just did? You hit clear. How do I list out the files on the thing? You just hit LS. That's it. Stuff like that. You can learn them in like 20 minutes, take some notes so you don't forget them, etc. What is a .env file? Google it. How do I install Node? NPM. These are super easy. It's really not that hard, but you want to do this first. How do I deploy an app? Go ask ChatGPT or Claude or something like that to just explain this for you in a nutshell. You don't have to do anything with it right now, but it's worth Googling right now before you build anything. Next up, the process. So this is like my overview. Now I'm actually answering the question, by the way. That was a bunch of like me rambling. But honestly, if I were talking to this person right now, this is the overall process that I would tell people. Again, for non-developers, have an idea. Again, have the product idea, have a feature idea, something, right? What you want to build. I highly, 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 highly recommend these next 2 steps. Before you actually start writing code, or you ask AI to write code, or whatever that is, think through this in great detail. Literally, what is it going to look like on the screen? Where will this button be? Will this be a form? What do I need from my user when they sign up? Like, what is this? What is this feature exactly? This feature is going to take something and do something. They're going to take an input from the user, and it's going to do something with it. What are those steps? Even if you don't know how to code, you can think through this stuff. This app I have, this product I have, this feature I have, whatever it is, think it through in great detail and ask AI for the big picture. This is going to set you up for success right away. If you just tell AI in like 200 words or less what you want it to build, it's not going to be what you want, first of all, and it's less likely to actually work and be what you want. The more you can prep the AI with what it is exactly that you want and you're trying to build, and then you explain it to AI and ask, okay, walk me through the big steps of implementation. That's literally the text I have copied and pasted. Walk me through the big steps, the broad steps, the big picture overview of implementation. Walk me through the big picture implementation. And then, before you do this next step, you can go back and forth. You can say, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to use this method instead. What are some different methods I could do for this? What are some different methods I could do for this? If you spend 30 minutes, even, before you start asking ChatGPT for code, just explaining and clarifying and explaining and clarifying this, and especially this troubleshooting, it's going to be so much easier. And by the way, take notes. Write this stuff down for later, because you're going to be coming back to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and then asking again, and then asking again, and then asking again. So get the big picture steps of implementation, whether it's the entire product or just one feature of the product, or just how a user signs up for your app, right? How do they edit their bio on your app, whatever it is, right? Get the big picture steps, write it down, take notes, and then start from the beginning, small details. Tell ChatGPT to walk me through implementing just step number 1 in grave detail. Like step by step, tell me exactly what to do. Pretend I've never coded before. This is where you start generating code in tiny fragments. Start right at the beginning and don't skip anything, right? Step by step, small details. And then implement, troubleshoot when it doesn't work, because it won't work. Again, I want to highlight that. And then repeat. And after you do this for a couple of days or a couple of weeks or whatnot, this is going to be second nature to you, and you're going to figure out your own process. But this has been mine, and this is what I suggest. Have an idea, ask AI for big picture implementation, take it step by step, small chunks at a time, implement, troubleshoot until it works, and then repeat. That's it. Okay, 2 more sections. What tech should I use, Pete? What is the software I use? I don't know. I will say this. Stick with what you know, if you know anything. And by the way, well, actually, we'll get to it in a second. I'll tell you my tip down here. What tech stack should you use? What software should you use? Whatever you already know. Do not be tempted by some fancy new tech stack that you saw on YouTube just because, oh, well, that looks a little bit slicker than what I currently know. Or that looks like this or that. You can build anything with anything. PHP, right? Super old programming language, or JavaScript, or Python, or Ruby on Rails, or like Flutter, Dart. There's a bajillion things you could choose. Different programming language. There's a million things you could do. And you could basically build just about anything with anything, almost. And that has to do with this next part. What do you need? What are you trying to build? Are you trying to build a mobile app? Literally an app on the App Store, Apple, Android, whatever. I recommend Flutter. And then Dart is the actual programming language. I think this is like literally from Google, right? Google created this stuff. I recommend Flutter. Unless it is a very specific Mac-only sort of thing. Just an iPhone app, iOS, or Mac OS, or iPad, or whatever. Obviously Swift, right? That's literally the only one you should touch. Web app, this is what I do. This is what Pete does. I do web apps. You can access all of my stuff. Why can't I open Chrome? You can access all of my stuff on the internet, right? Fab.ai, Promptomizer, Easy Course. Why did I type that in wrong? Mine are all web apps. They are on the web. They are on the internet. This is what I build. I recommend, this is going to be really rough here, I recommend SvelteKit. And let me get to why in just a second. If you're just hacking stuff, by the way, as in you might not even have users, you're literally building an app for yourself, I actually might recommend taking a look at Python, just because everybody I know that does this, meaning they're literally just on their computer building apps for themselves, scripts that do this, scripts that do that, for their own business or whatever, it seems like they're all using Python. I don't have a lot of experience with Python. I mean, I've looked a little bit at it, but those guys and girls use Python. I don't know really why. It must be easier from your computer. I don't know, but take a look at it. So there's 2 things here. I should have put this one first. This is my thought process. I like JavaScript because it's been around forever. There's an insane amount of documentation on it. The AI knows it. And you could say those things about some of these other programming languages or whatever. But there are a lot of frameworks, to use a fancy term for you, like React, Next.js, SvelteKit, and even Svelte, which is technically like the language. Node.js, that JS stands for JavaScript, and a bunch of other stuff. JavaScript is a programming language, and once you've kind of learned that, you can kind of find your way around all of these other things, right? I use SvelteKit. It's actually built on JavaScript. It's literally like 95% just JavaScript. You got to figure out how SvelteKit works, but it's just JavaScript, right? That's my language. I'm never going to use Python. I'm never going to use PHP because I just do JavaScript. I don't care to learn anything more. There are plenty of fancy new add-ons and frameworks and whatever that I can use. JavaScript is like my tech. That is my tech. And I use SvelteKit. Last but not least, this person had asked something like best tutorials. I recommend going to YouTube and looking for a course on whatever it is you want to learn. SvelteKit, Python, or whatever it is. Literally a course, like multiple videos. And the reason is, in 99% of these courses, they build an app. I know I'm skipping ahead here. They build an app in the course. Like, here's what we're going to be building. It's a social sharing chat app for this and that, whatever. Build alongside them. Like, literally open VS Code on your computer and do what they do. Video by video, step by step. You will not learn better. You will not learn by reading. You will not learn by just watching the videos. You will learn by building and making and getting errors and fixing them. That's how to do that. I recommend NetNinja on YouTube. There's almost nothing that guy has not created a free course on, which is insane. NetNinja YouTube. Just Google it. Come to this guy. I have no idea where he's from. He has a little bit of an accent. I love this guy, right? There's Dart right there. And I know he has a Flutter, Dart. He also has a Svelte and SvelteKit courses. This guy has everything. Next.js, Node.js, like OpenAI, the basics. This is your guy. I love this guy. He's not paying me to say this. I'm not an affiliate. I just love his stuff. Also, my very first SvelteKit app I built alongside Firebase. Fireship. This is also a YouTuber. His name's Jeff. He's hilarious. He's super funny. And he has a bunch of courses at fireship.io. Well, maybe like 10 courses. Yeah. SvelteKit, full course. Next.js, full course. And a React Supabase course. And Flutter. And Dart. There you go. I recommend this guy. I recommend NetNinja. And there's several other YouTubers which you can go look around their stuff. So here's my personal stack. HTML, CSS is the building blocks of the web, and you probably need to know them. Actually, less than you might think, because AI could just absolutely crush HTML, right? But you still kind of know what you're looking at, especially with HTML. CSS, maybe even not so much, because I actually use and recommend Tailwind CSS. It's like a CSS framework. I'm actually not sure what you might call it. You basically install it into your app, kind of like an add-on, if you will. And then you can edit the way something looks. All of these have Tailwind, right? Using just HTML. You'll have to Google it. You'll have to learn how to do this yourself. I'm not going to teach you in this video, but I use Tailwind. So I never had to touch CSS. I don't like CSS. I don't touch CSS ever. I just use Tailwind. SvelteKit is a JavaScript framework. Again, NetNinja or Fireship on YouTube. They have fantastic courses. I literally built my first app alongside their course. And I recommend strongly Backend as a Service. And as a service. There are a Supabase, Pocketbase, Firebase. I don't know why they all have base in them. But basically, it's kind of taking away the backend, meaning your database and user authentication and stuff like that. And it's kind of doing it a lot for you. You still have to set it up. You still have to figure that sort of stuff out. But it's a million times easier than trying to do a lot of SQL stuff, creating your own databases, managing MongoDB. Or like, I did that for my first app. It was technically the MERN stack, MERN stack, MongoDB. Oh my gosh, it was a huge pain. Now I use Firebase for free, by the way. It doesn't cost me anything. It was made by Google. Firebase and SvelteKit and Tailwind, and there's my app, period. Like, that's it. And I'll do that for every single one of these. Same thing here, same thing here, same thing here, same thing for everything I have. All right, here's a few other things tech stack related. Resend is what I use and recommend for sending one-off emails, not like an email list, not like newsletters, although they actually have a newsletter feature, I believe. It's free to start. It's a pretty generous free plan as well. I use Resend, and it's super easy to implement. It's really easy. Stripe for charging people for things. I like Claude 3 for my AI needs. I like the Claude 3 models a lot. Better than the OpenAI models at the moment. And then hosting and deployment. These two words are kind of used interchangeable in a lot of cases. I use three things for depending on my needs. Render.com, Vercel.com, and then Cloudflare Pages for static sites, meaning like my homepage. If you go to PeteMcPherson.com, this is SvelteKit, by the way. There's no backend. There's no data. I don't do anything with users. Users cannot sign up. This is literally just like my portfolio site. This is hosted on Cloud Pages for free. And self-promo alert, I actually have this entire template that you can steal for free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's called Easy Site. I'll link to it in the description below. You can literally just clone this Svelte kit template, put it on Cloudflare Pages in an hour, customize it to whatever you want, and there you go. You can have a website. Going back, there's tons of other options though. There's a lot. For like deploying an app, there's a lot. I recommend Render actually I recommend Vercel. Take a look at Vercel, especially if you're doing SvelteKit or Next.js. Look at Vercel first and foremost. Netlify is another one. Okay, so let me move on from the tech stuff. This is a longer video than I thought. Tips I wish I had known when I started. I wish I had started sooner. I think everybody probably would say that. But seriously, if you're even thinking about this, if you think you might be doing this a year from now, if you want to launch multiple apps, if you want to like build stuff for a living, you want to change careers, start today. Start literally building and coding something today, even if it's only 10 to 15 minutes, right? Start sooner. Build alongside a course. There's absolutely no better way, and faster way, by the way, to get your chops up. I recommend picking your stack, your tech stack, whatever that is, SvelteKit or otherwise, finding a course and building alongside them. Build exactly what they build first. Don't build your own app, build their app. Whatever they do in the course, you will learn so much doing that. Do not fear copying and pasting. Don't be afraid. There's absolutely nothing wrong with copying and pasting from the internet, changing for your needs. Again, don't steal if there's like private code you have access to, of course. But YouTube videos, anything goes. Stack Overflow, Google Forums for that matter. That's what it's for. It's for copying and pasting. Those websites exist to help you by copying and pasting, adapting to your own needs, changing things to your own needs, that sort of stuff. Do not be afraid to copy and paste where you can into your own app, right? This is what developers do all the time, right? 95% of the time, they're not coding everything from scratch. They're getting some template, they're getting some copy and paste, something like that. Do not be afraid to do that, absolutely. And then templates, right? I just showed you Easy Course for like using this, stuff like that. I'm actually building another one for apps called AppFlash. I have the domain, I think it's this. It's not up yet. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, it'll be up, but I'm having AppFlash. It'll be paid, by the way, but it'll be super cheap, where you can use my SvelteKit, Firebase template with AI and Stripe and all that stuff built in. It's pretty great. And then last little tip I wish I'd known, deploy the app to the internet before it's done. Do not wait till the very end to deploy to the internet. Even if you don't share it publicly, by the way. You don't have to put a custom domain on it right away. Like if you do it on Vercel, they'll give you like a Vercel subdomain to put it on. Deploy before it's ready so that you can catch errors easier. If you go all the way through building an app on your local computer, your local machine, and then you try and deploy it, and you get deployment errors, build errors, runtime errors, it's so much harder to diagnose because there could be like 20 errors. Where if you just build a page or two with very little functionality and you figure out how to get that live on the internet, you'll find when things break in the deployment phase. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, well, you can email me with questions. So if you're watching this video, you might be interested in Easy Site. I'll put all the links in the description below. Easy Course is my free template for an online course. Oh, it's not free. It is paid. It's very cheap, though. Online courses, so you don't have to pay for online course software. AppFlash, not live yet, but it'll be my official app template that you can clone. And otherwise, you can email me. You can find my email at petemcpherson.com or on my YouTube profile, I guess you could say, channel page or whatnot. My email's there as well. That's all I got. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Also, drop me comments. Drop me comments below this video if you have any. Adios.